I went to a baking supply store here in Annecy last week and realized that I never really make anything with cassis, and I usually avoid a lot of really floral flavors at home, but that is not to say that I don't like those flavors. So I decided to make a macaron centered around cassis or black currant because I found this puree, which is also something that's a little bit hard to find in the US, so this felt like a particularly good macaron to make while I'm here in France. For the shells, I'm just going to use my regular French method. I'm going to whip up some white shells. I'm not adding any colorant. I decided to paint on the shells because it's springtime. I was using cassis and other red berries in the filling, as well as a little bit of violet. So I really just wanted to continue that, deep purple, red, floral kind of vibe. And I just wanted to get back to painting on Max again. I haven't done that yet here in France, so I thought that would be especially fun. And because I was going for this really natural floral spring vibe, I didn't want to add any white colorant to my meringue because I didn't want this to look fake or overly bright. I really wanted a natural, a little bit like almost muted tone, right? So I really was okay with the sort of yellowy tan that will come from the almond flour and from the baking and all of that. If you do want to add some white food colorant, if you are painting on macarons, I think that's a great idea. Anything that is very light or bright is going to be a little bit easier to paint on and have your colors show up more naturally. So that is always something to keep in mind. But anyway, I'm just going to continue on with my French method meringue, which is room temperature egg whites, slowly adding in the granulated sugar. And once I arrive at a stiff peak, I will fold in my almond flour and powdered sugar, and then finish my macaronage to get to that perfect ribbon stage so I can pipe my macarons. Loving this Airbnb that I'm staying in. I only have a couple bowls that are a little bit hard to see in and film with, and the countertop is pretty small, so I end up doing a lot of my filming on my kitchen table, which is a really awkward angle for me to work on. So because of that, I'm only going to show some of this folding and macaronage process, But if you are newer to my videos, I promise I show this entire thing in a lot clearer of a way in so many of my other macaron videos. So I'm just forewarning you, I'm not going to show you everything, but please click through a couple of my other things that I filmed in my Minneapolis kitchen if you want to see that entire process and get more of an explanation. Alright, so I've reached my desired texture and I'm just going to pipe this onto my silpats. I have a template that I use. As you can see there, it's hanging out of the edges. My oven here is pretty small, so I had to cut down my silpats, and because of that, and I don't want my macarons going right up to the edges of my tray or anything, I just made the executive decision to pipe fewer on my trays. Yes, I could alternate and absolutely squish more in there, but I don't have a printer. I'm not going to go through the trouble of making a template for the couple months that I'm here. So anyway, it looks a little bit sloppy, but here we are. I'm just, again, piping regular circles, my regular sizes, nothing new or different here. This template that you saw me haphazarding down under my silpat, I just found that online. A lot of people ask me for it, but like literally just type in macaron template and you will find a bunch of free PDFs you can print off. As soon as I can touch the shells with my finger and I feel a nice film on there, no batter is coming away, I'm going to get this into my oven. Again, here too in France, I'm just baking one tray at a time. So while those are baking and the others are waiting, I'm going to go ahead and make this Cassis red berry jam. So I have cassis puree, I have some violet aroma, some sugar, and then these frozen red berries that were a mix I found already all together. I was so happy about that. There are blackberries and blueberries and some currants in there, and just a really, really nice mix. But because a lot of those things are quite sour, and cassis as well, there's not a lot of natural sweetness as a strawberry would have, or some other berries might already have. I'm adding a decent amount of sugar in here, and I'm just going to bring this to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer and just cook the crap out of it until it looks like a jam. Honestly, that is as specific as I can get with you because that's what I did. I don't have a thermometer here. I did not time how long this took. I weighed out all of the ingredients, so I will leave that for you below if you want to make this. But I just took it off the heat when it looked like jam to me, and it was perfect. So I wish you luck in recreating that. All right, so as soon as the macarons were baked and cooled and matched, it's time for me to paint on them. Now here's another thing where I love this French kitchen, but I did not have the typical tools that I would want for painting on macarons, and I did not want to go out and buy them. So here I am. This is me just using powdered food coloring, which I don't like for painting. Absolutely hate it. I absolutely prefer gel food colorant. 100% prefer gel food colorant for painting. And I'm also using water because I did not have any good extracts to mix with this. and I did not have any alcohol, neither of which I wanted to go out and buy. So this is me painting with water and powdered food coloring. So you can see from this video that it is possible to work with what you've got. And I absolutely believe that, and I really like demonstrating that to you all, that no matter what you have in your kitchen, like you don't need all of the fancy tools. You don't need all the equipment. And whenever you're watching someone else's tutorial or you see something on Instagram and you're like, wow, that's so cool, I could never recreate it because of XYZ, I don't believe that. Obviously, there are some cases when, you don't have an oven. Okay, that's a real one. Or, there are other absolutely necessary things that you don't have. Okay, fine. But a lot of the time when it's things like this, there absolutely is a way, even if it isn't your favorite or the best or your preferred method, you can still play around and create some really cool things. So I really hope you give painting on macarons a try, no matter what you have on hand and no matter your level of experience. So as you can see here, I use a larger brush to create sort of a 5-petal flower that is open, and then just kind of a blob that is more like a bud, and then I have green for the grass, and I am using a larger brush for the flower for the inside part, and then I'm switching to a smaller brush to kind of outline that in a darker color. And then I also have a small brush that I'm using for the green. Now as I was doing this, I wanted a little bit more, I don't know, something fun and just another color in there. And I do have some gold luster dust, so I decided that after I let my flowers dry for a little bit, I was going to go in with the gold and my smallest paintbrush and create sort of the center of the flower, and then also go into the grass as well and create some little gold streaks there. And not only was this a really good thing because it added some shine and depth and dimension to the flowers, but also I feel like it really helped me stay true to that spring vibe because, the grass is pretty green here, but like things are still pretty brown otherwise, and flowers are starting to poke up. There are daffodils, there are a few tiny little flowers blooming, but the trees are still bare. And so I really like that the gold added shimmer, but also that touch of brown to stay true to this spring vibe of both growing things and other things that have yet to bloom. So then getting into the filling, I have that jam that I made. It's completely cooled off. And then I just made a really quick Swiss meringue buttercream. And after that was finished, I mixed in some of that cassis puree. That's all. I just mixed in the puree. If you do not have access to cassis, what might I substitute? Maybe a mixture of raspberry and blackberry, maybe a little bit heavier on the blackberry side, but cassis is a pretty unique flavor, so I wouldn't necessarily go for this recipe. Obviously, it would be great with any dark fruit, but cassis is really one of a kind. If you really do like violet and other floral aromas, I would also add that into the buttercream as well to really stick with that fruity and floral vibe. Alright, so I'm just going to get these all sandwiched up and shove them into my refrigerator for at least 24 hours before enjoying. And trust me, they were delicious. Just that perfect mix of tart and sweet and bright. Really, really lovely. I hope you enjoyed this video and a little peek into my kitchen here in France. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!